So in the rent-to-own program, there are some initial fees and fees along the way that you should be aware of. So let's go through the entire process for the rent-to-own from what fees do you have to answer. So now keep in mind that the end goal of this is to transition you to be able to get your own mortgage so that you could buy this property, okay? The first fee is the initial registration fee. And this fee is to start the process. So after we have our first couple of telephone discussions and in-face meetings, if you decide that you want to proceed with this, then before we do any work on this, we ask that you put an initial down payment down. So this amount would go towards your down payment on the day of closing. So it's not money that you would lose, or it's money that goes towards our administration. With that initial registration fee, we will present you with a couple of pricing options for the type of property that you think you would want to buy. We also send you a book on the rent-to-own process, and we also send you a binder with all the information about the rent-to-own program. Okay, on the day of closing, so the day that you move into your property, you would need to pay for your first and last month's rent, okay? Plus be prepared that throughout the time that you live there, you would also have to pay that rent amount, plus all your utilities, your taxes, your water, your insurance. Now with your insurance, you're paying for content insurance, which is the tenant content insurance, but you're also paying for the home ownership insurance, okay? And then on top of that monthly rent, you're also paying that top-up fee. And this top-up fee is a monthly fee that is set to encourage you to pay your rent on time, but it's also a forced savings account in the sense that that money goes towards your down payment at the end of the term, okay? So let's say your monthly rent is $2,000. So that monthly rent of $2,000 goes towards the investor to pay for the mortgage and pays for a little bit of their fees. And then let's say the top up is $300. So then each month you would be paying $2,300 plus your utilities, your insurance, taxes, and all of that stuff. That $300 that you've paid, that top up, sits in a bank account and accumulates every month, okay, to go towards your down payment. Okay, now if you are late on your rent, then you forfeit that $300 that month. Okay, so that's why it's really important to pay your rent on time. Okay, and that's why that incentive is there. Okay, so then the other fee that you would have to pay is on the day of the closing that you move in, so the very first day, we also would ask that you put down a percentage, like a down payment. Okay, so this is normally 5% or more, depending on the location and how risky we see this deal. Okay, so this amount is money that will go towards your down payment at the end. Okay, so let's say you put down 5% of whatever your house purchase price is. Okay, so that 5% is there and it carries all the way through until the end of the term, and that goes towards your down payment. Okay. Now keep in mind this fee is used as an incentive so that we can encourage an investor to come in and say, hey, you know what, we've got this $500,000 property and the tenant renter is putting down 5% or 10%. And this indicates to the to the investor that there's a very high probability that you would stay through into the very end and continue through with taking the property over at the end of the 2 years, okay, or the 3-year term. So keep in mind, the investor is coming in to make money with this deal, not to have to worry about tenants and having to find a tenant if you move out or having to sell the property if you decide to walk away from the deal. Okay. The other fee as well that you should be aware of is the credit repair fee. So if you are a single applicant, then the fee is about $2,500. If it's you and a partner or significant other, then that's ×2, so it's normally about $5,000. Okay, so this fee is absolutely necessary. Okay, this fee is one that you could pay to us so that we can help you with your credit repair, or we can recommend some other credit repair company that you can go to. Okay, so with this amount, it's up to you on where you go to get this service. But keep in mind that you have to have your credit score fixed and in a certain condition so that you will qualify for a mortgage on your own. Okay, if you don't do this and you think, okay, well, you know what, I can just do this on my own, then there's a very high chance that you're not going to be able to fix your credit score on your own. Okay, and at the end of the term, you're not going to be able to get a mortgage, which then means all of these fees that you've paid up until this point would just get lost. Okay, so, and then the very last fee is at the end of the term. You'd have to go and get a mortgage, and there's normally no fee for that portion. Okay, but there would be a fee when you actually close on that on the house purchase, and so that's called closing costs. So this closing cost is the same as any house purchase. So whether you buy the house now or you buy it in 2 years time or 3 years time or 5 years time, the closing cost is normally about 2% of whatever that purchase price is. Or if you are in the Toronto area, then that percentage is a little bit higher because there's the double taxation on the land transfer. Okay, so it's safe to bet anywhere from 2 to 3% on the purchase price of your house. Okay, so those are the fees that are associated with the rent-to-own program. And you know, I try to encourage people that if you are able to get a mortgage now, then it's better for you to just outright get the mortgage now, because then all you're paying is the closing costs, which is the 2 to 3%. Okay, and in that closing cost, sorry, I should have said this earlier. So within that closing cost of 2 to 3%, you've got your lawyer's fees, any utilities or extra costs that you need to pay for the person that you're buying the property from, the land transfer taxes. If you are buying a condo, there might be some additional fees there that you have to pay back to the seller in terms of condo fees that they've paid, and then any property taxes that they've paid up until that point that you take over the property. Okay, so all of those costs would still be there if you were buying the property now and taking it over now. Okay, the only difference is now you're paying it in the rent-to-own program is that you're paying rent and you're paying the top up to get to that point of getting that 10% or 15% down payment in the future. And then you're also paying a credit repair fee, where if you were just getting a mortgage now, you wouldn't have to pay that. Okay, so those are all the information. Please feel free to contact me if you have any more questions about the fees and the closing costs that are associated with the rent-to-own program. Okay, thanks very much.